Hey, hey, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Fine Line Friday. Mr. Riley, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Chad. So happy to be here. We made it through yet another week. Will Riley, Chad Westbrook, doing great, man.
Yeah. So today is I'm gonna say an episode that I'm really excited about because we're gonna be talking about kind of the front end side of the service business. So how do we optimize dispatch and then scheduling, which a lot of times inside my world is the most important thing that we can do because our client wants some type of peace of mind. Right? If we just we got to get it right because this is everything that they know about our business. So when I say optimizing dispatch and scheduling, what comes to mind in your side?
Yeah, what comes to mind is the complete front end of that, which is really critical that we get that right. And especially as we talk to companies that have service departments, right? We're talking about inbound requests to then go out and respond. What's entailed? Well, we need to have the people that schedule the work notified. We need to have the customer notified. We need to capture everything and be able to kind of start that ball rolling forward. So to me, it's the first checkpoint in the whole process. Critical. If we don't perform that right, we got a customer that's upset.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, so in I guess building businesses, I've always looked at it as four parts. People, number one, who do you have, right? And what's their superpower? That's a lot because you can have people, right? But if not in the right seats, they don't have the right skill set, right? Could make some hiccups. So you got people, you got process, how those people work together. Then you have technology, better, easier, faster, right? And then you have goals, and goals is ultimately just a way to be able to incentivize individuals to be more efficient. So I love that. So we're going to be talking about people and process today, and then we'll probably touch on technology and how it can really help, really the customer experience. I guess is kind of how I see it.
Yeah, no question, because that's gonna segue into really the critical parts to pull this off, and also to create future benefits, right? Because if we work smart, not hard, we not only have a clear direction to funnel this work through, but we have a really solid opportunity to continue to extract. And that's what we're really all about is to create that longevity, that sustainable client base. And anyone that's watching this too that has a service partner, they understand that. Really what we're talking about are really going back to the basics and then enhancing that. A lot of these talks about enhancing now that we understand the basics.
Love that. I love that. Okay, so over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I have spent probably too much time on customer experience. And I've done that because it's always this changing expectation of, 10, 15 years ago, we could be a great roofer by fixing leaks and making really good repairs. And like that's what defined a good roofer. And then I think over the last 10 years or so, if not probably a little bit more than that, it has very little to do with the roofing repairs we make. It has to do, did we check in? Did we check out? Did we give them 24 hours notice? Did we use the third party work order system? Like all of that stuff comes into play to be able to define if our customer likes us. Do you agree with that?
It's interesting that you comment on it because it's almost like the landscape changed because of what people get used to. And you're right. It would used to be work speaking for itself, used to be the only way to communicate to a client is through the work, right? But as technology and different processes came in and changed the landscape, it's almost like you're right. They just want to know that you responded. Like that seems to be the most important, that they have a need and you responded and you just showed up. Like that's 80+% of the battle, right? It's crazy.
So what I, and this is a biased opinion 100%, but what I saw happen, and this is from me in the seat. Number one is that YouTube came to the table. And when YouTube came to the table, anybody can Google anything, anybody can go on YouTube and type in whatever they want and they can get information on whatever they want. Right? So if I wanted to know how to fix a TPO roof, there are 100,000 videos out there right now on how to fix a TPO roof. So the skill set of a roofer, right, of like how to make repairs, and I don't know how to do that, became readily available at anyone's fingers. So that like unspoken knowledge become more common knowledge just by being able to watch the videos. From a sales side, I had to prepare my sales team that most of the time when you're going in there and you're talking about a fully adhered 60 mil TPO JM roof, there's a chance that our customer has more information on that system than my salesman knows. depending on how analytical they are, they can, right? Like it changed the entire landscape of how educated our customer can be specifically on that. And now we're getting into a whole different world with ChatGPT and AI to be able to say, hey, how do I fix this? And it will literally give you a step by step, every single materials you need. And then you can say, create a video for it. And like it's constantly changing. It's constantly changing with the technology and the education that our customer has.
Yeah, I think we're going to go through another phase this year, next year. We could be in it already, but what began from the contractor doing any type of work, the work speaking for itself, to technology kind of coming in, the next generation coming in. I mean, think about it. You guys that are my age are now sitting behind, 36 years old, sitting behind desks that are making decisions on behalf of their buildings. And we grew up with the ability to order things online, instant gratification. The products that came into the market. There's so many different ways you can repair the same issue. That is kind of coming in and evolving. And I almost feel like the contractors are going to dictate the next set of change because I feel, maybe this isn't true, but I feel like everyone's raising the bar a little bit more, right? We all want to have solid technicians that do solid work, that build up our reputation, that can speak to the longevity. And that's going to keep on happening, I think. And the educational resources that are coming out now, NRCA getting deeper into the service side, I think we're going to experience another change.
I love this. I love this because our heads are in different places. Um, if contractors can influence the marketplace, I think that can be absolutely phenomenal. The part that I'm worried about, and I know we're kind of in a rabbit trail right now, is that our industry typically is always behind, right? So since we're on like the front side of the business, operate dispatching, all that kind of different stuff, think about like Uber. Think about UPS. We're two stops away. Uber, your food is being picked up right now. It's 3 minutes away. You got GPS of exactly where the trucks are at. I think that we're going to continue to get pushed to be able to have better information to our customers based upon what all the technology around us is doing. And I think that in my side of that, that's what's raising the expectation of what can you expect from a roofer is because your plumbing, your HVAC, all of your different industries are pushing that way and adopting that. And our industry is being carried along with it.
100% too. And my duty, my being, and that's why I love having these conversations because I stay connected too. Um, I feel a duty to advance the software side, but tie it to best practices, right? Always. Because if we do that right, the next generation that comes in behind, imagine if they can just pick up a software, use it, and it's the feature set built in is best practice driven. That's my dream. That's my vision.
Dude, 100%. So we're on the same page right there. So as we get into this, we talked about people, process, right, is what we're talking about. So I'm going to ask you the first question that I always ask when going through a client journey. Someone calls, what's the first thing we do? Someone calls the office, what's the first thing that we do?
Yeah, we're capturing that call. We're capturing that note. What's the complaint? I have this issue, whether it's past job that's opened up or it's a new issue that they just spotted. Client has a problem and we need to solve it. So I'm capturing that, right, into the CRM, or if we're not even talking about software, I'm writing it down on a piece of paper
Yeah,
and
no
I'm going
software's
to,
allowed.
no software's allowed. I'm capturing
Process.
it, which goes without saying too, contact information. What's the description? Anything particular about what I need to do when I get there? I need to capture all of that one time. I don't want to call the client back and look like an idiot. Capture it one time, and I'm going to put that piece of paper in front of the service manager.
How many times I've been that idiot to call back and be like, just one question, what was the gate code again? Oh, the key code? Like, no. I've been there because you're right. So first off, what I was getting to is like someone calls in, we pick up the phone, right? Like that is a massive, massive thing. And I think it's becoming kind of common practice, right? But if we don't pick up the phone, our customer is not going to feel that they have somebody to help them. Like you said it, right? What's your problem? What's your complaint? 100%. I think when someone calls in, they're going to have a problem or they're going to have a goal. and they're looking to talk to somebody who can either help them fix that problem or get to that goal. And I think the key to that is they want to talk to somebody, right? So if you don't have, this is optimizing the front side, if you don't have a way for someone, some human to be able to pick the phone up and talk to somebody, I think that could be right there a break within the process. That if I was to call, right, that I wanted an HVAC, the furnace broke inside my house, and I call someone and it goes to voicemail, me personally, I'm calling the next person in line. I'm calling the next number until I talk to somebody who I know has the ability to help me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm the same way, right? Our AC went out last summer, and I called first guy, nope, no answer. Second guy, 24-hour service. I'm like, amazing. Can you be here today? Like, yes.
Done.
You're right.
Done.
The same is true with emails, right? First line of defense should be phone call, human nature, but then open up the other facets to it. If I send someone an email, hey, can you be out here tomorrow and look at my AC equipment, and they don't respond until half a day later, a day later, I'm probably already sent next email and got a response back.
Oh, I'm gone. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So if you're not picking up that phone, or it's going to voicemail or something to that extent, the chances are, and I use that example, I don't know what your HVAC costs, right? But like if this is a roof, guys, that I'm looking to replace my roof, I need someone to be able to come out and do it. That could have been $100,000 phone call that we let go to voicemail, that didn't leave a voicemail, that called the next roofer inside line. Now, maybe it was a $2,000 service job, maybe it was a $100,000 re-roof, right? But at the end of the day, if we don't have a good process up front, just to be able to answer the phone could be the difference between hitting goals for the month, for the year, for the quarter, whatever it is, and not hitting goals. Now, the second part I love, because now that we pick the phone up, now we have to have a constant or a consistent, not constant, a consistent process on the information we gather, right?
Yeah, I agree. And
So
that's
how
got
do
to be,
you define that? What is best practices for like what information we need?
we had a set of questions too at the roofing company, and it was what derived from a few years of doing it, but to reduce the amount of calling the customer back and reduce the amount of times we show up and didn't get to the right unit, or reduce the times of even sending an invoice and it went to the wrong person. If you capture the right stuff up front, you save face, you look good, you carry the ball all the way to the end properly. So to me, it's, I need the actual address for the physical place, not your billing address, not a PO box, like the physical place, right? Who's our on-site point of contact? Does the client understand your ways of charging? Because if not, they need to be educated now. You want to send an invoice, you're like, I didn't know you were billing me, I thought you were quoting it. Well, that's a different conversation. I would send a sales rep. So not only that, we need a description of the issue too, so we're aligned, and then also an expectation, right? Are you expecting us out there today? Is it something that could wait a few days? It's an upsell option as well. If you want us to drop what we're doing, show up today, I'm going to send a crew out, but it's gonna be overtime. It's gonna be double time, however you charge for that. So once I had that in line, that was a successful ticket generated and created. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so, but the part that clicked with me that I loved, because so when I look at processes, I look at measurables, right? Like what are the things that we know this is going right or wrong? And the one thing you said is that we get one opportunity, we don't call the customer back, right? And I'm not saying that we just accept half-ass information, right? And just do it, but it's like I love that point because you're right. There's a process in place, right? Company, property, billing address, point of contact, hours of operation, roof access. Now you might not whoever's calling it might not have all of that information, but that's at least the checklist we have. Because again, I always said that I'm looking outwards. My customer, I would want my customer to have the same experience if you answer the phone, if I answer the phone, or if somebody else answered the phone, which means we all know the questions we need to ask because we have that documented somewhere. Right. To me, that's the outward facing side. It's not like I talked to Chad and Chad said, yeah, I'll send a roofer out there tomorrow. I bypass all of our processes because I'm Chad, I'm the owner, and I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If we're
Yeah.
truly going to have a successful business that runs on process, that we're all going to ask the same questions, it's all going to follow that same area. So I love that. I love that process. I love you talking about that.
Well, and not to say that like we want to capture everything so that we don't need to call the client. It's not that we don't want to communicate with the client. It's that we've successfully captured everything up front, so therefore everything else can play its course, right?
Mhm.
We're sending the right crew out to the best of our ability. We're addressing the right set of issues. We're capturing the right information so that when we invoice them, we're not tripping over ourselves, because we all know in service, it's super high volume, it's super transactional. There's so many touch points involved from A to Z to get it out the door. We do it right up front, it follows down the track, you know, far more effective.
Yep. But I'm with you. The only thing I was saying is that the trigger to be able to say, oh, our process isn't working. Oh, our process is broke, right? Is the fact that we have to call the customer back. And if we're
There.
consistently calling the customer back, that means that something's wrong with the information that we have documented up front, right? Which is, it could be as simple as hours of operation, right? That's simple. I've been in strip malls where the alcohol store didn't open till 3 p.m. Guess who sent text there at 10 a.m.? It's me, right? And they show up at 10 a.m. The door's closed. It says it doesn't open until 3, and now all of a sudden my entire day's killed, right? Because now I'm reshuffling the schedule simply because I didn't ask the question up front.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. And, you know, I know we get a wide array of people that listen to this, a wide array of contractors that are trying to get into service, you know, a wide array of well-established service departments, you know. Imagine, I mean, and the landscape changed here too, in my opinion, because back maybe 10 years ago, if someone called because they've got a roof leak, it's like, I don't really care to answer the phone for that type of work. I don't do that. I do installs, you know. I feel like the landscape changed to where everybody wants these, everybody wants leak calls to be calling into their business, because they all recognize, or seem to me that they all recognize the value of service kind of coming in and building and propelling the rest of the company. You know, and if you're just getting started too, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to show up to the wrong building. You're going to do the wrong stuff. You're going to, you know, not. We're all human, but the reality is what we're talking about is all derived from all the years of doing it wrong and learning along the way.
There's so much truth that goes into that, dude. So like the one thing I guess that I'll say, and this is direct, I didn't want to take this into the sales side. Do not expect your phone to ring. 100%. Do not expect your phone to ring. Do not expect your customer to call you. Do not expect as, oh, we got a whole bunch of rain coming in. We should get ready for leak calls. Don't expect that. Because I promise you, in 99% of the situations, if there's a roofer that walks inside the door of your customer's office and says, hey, I'm right next door, my truck's right here, do you have a leak? And the leak is coming down on the desk, that they're going to say, yeah, we got a leak right here if you want to take a look at it. And I know I'm being extreme inside those situations, but from a client management side, right, there are ways that we can make it easy for a customer to do business with us. And Will, you already said it, right? Like, number one, I don't like making phone calls. If you guys know me, I'd rather jump on Zoom or I'd rather send a text message. And that's my communication style. And one of the biggest things that I think that I was going to miss, I think, until you brought that up, is that we have to make it easy for our customer to do business with us.
Mhm.
And that means if the customer likes placing a phone call, we got to have an easy way for them to place a phone call. If our customer likes emailing, we have to have an easy way for them to be able to email us. If the customer likes text messaging, we need to have an easy way for them to be able to text message us. Because the harder we make it for our customer to do business with us, is the less likely it is that they're going to do business with us. So there's a lot
Yeah.
that goes in. If you guys have seen, if you've heard, or wherever it is, like leaks at abcroofing.com, they created that email because it's just a general email that everybody can email into that's simple, right? It's not like C Westbrook at abcroofinginc.com. It's not hard, simple. Just leaks at url.com or service at url, whatever the URL is, your website. That is a first step to making it easier for your customer to get you work if email is their preferred communication path.
Yeah, hands down. You know, the comment of making it easy for the clients to buy from you, make it easy for the clients to interact with you and your offering, your business, because uh, some will call, some will email, some will text, some will self-serve, right? So you talk about technology, you know, we should, as we take those calls, it should notify the next people in line. It should show you the schedule. It should show you schedule on a map view. You should align that with your resources well, be able to electronically send work orders out to your crews. Your crews are punching in and out of the work order while simultaneously notifying all the parties involved. You know, the clients these days too are self-serving in the manner of when you send your proposal and it's a digital based proposal that they could actually e-sign it, right? Or maybe you have a client portal and they can go in there and see the history or request a service call or request an inspection and just be able to purchase and interact with you. I think two comments there. One, yes, making it easy for them to buy. Two, making it easy for them to interact with you and your team. And especially with service, so there's so many people involved. The larger the organization, the more people involved. I mean, think about it. You got, let's say we're doing 5 million in service a year. We typically got a service department manager. We have coordinators. We have AR, AP. We have potentially field superintendents. We have service technicians. We have helpers or labor. That's a lot of the salesperson or the account manager or the estimator. Like there's potentially 7 people that are intertwined with each and every service call. That's a lot to keep track of.
It is. And I'll tell you, part of my success when I was in the seat was one call, one email, right? That's how you do business with us. Now, my account managers had that, but you're right, because they might see 5 or 6 different people within one interaction, right? Of who showed up, the inspection, the service crew, all that kind of different stuff. And that was part of, right, my unique offer that I had. It was one phone number. Call this number. Any one of your locations across the US can call this one number. They get instant response. Someone answers the phone, right? And then we get as quickly as we can to value, which that first value piece was assigning the ETA, right? Giving them some type of peace of mind that, hey, this day, this time, we're going to start working on your, working on your problem or helping you get to the goal that you have.
Yeah, fair. And software helps leverage that. And even without software, right? That's a phone call, right? That's a text message. That's an email.
I built a cool automation for one company that it was a text message. So they wanted the customer to be able to text message them, but then they wanted the text message converted into an email and then sent to their general email.
Mm.
And they did all of that for the customer side. The customer gets one, right? So we've all seen the thing. It's like 555 text, roof to this number. It's the same general idea in there, but they would be able to give that to all of their customers. Their customers would be able to text that easy number that they can store. And then what it did is it converted it into an email and sent it to their service team. So I know I'm going crazy there, but they did that all based upon the ability to be able to give their customers an easier way to interact with them. So there may be some background, right? It's like, well, most of my customers want a text message, so we want that. There might be some background there, but make it easy for your customer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get us back on track. So talked about picking up the phone, why it's important to be able to pick up the phone. Then we went into having some type of defined list. And I think you said it best. We're not calling the customer back, right? Not that we're not going to, but we're going to get all the information the first time to be able to ensure our entire team, not just our technicians, but our AR and everybody like that, has all the information they need to be able to process the work order as quickly as possible, because that's the life cycle side of it, right? So we got the work order. Let's say we put it in our system, Excel, Centerpoint, with whatever it is, right? We put it inside our system. Now, how are we optimizing scheduling? What have you done to be able to ensure efficient scheduling?
Yeah, I think the service manager, who, in my opinion, is the most knowledgeable on repair work, roof systems, um, and in tune with the crews too, is making that judgment call up front as to who we're going to send first. And as we visit buildings within our territories, over time, these buildings. You know that Green Hill Plaza is a mod bit roof, and you know that this roof is built up, or you know pairing your talent pool with the work order with the customer, I think, is a really critical step. You can't really just hand it over to a service coordinator necessarily without really good systems in place. So I think that's the next piece is, all right, what resource are we going to send? And only do that once. We don't want to have to send 2 crews to the same job. We don't want to have to pull one crew off and send another crew in because we missed the mark. We don't want to send someone that's really good with shingles to a metal roof because that's not necessarily their forte. So I think that part paired with looking at the board systematically to separate out the scope work from the leak type work, because you want to get your leak work out done first. Your warranties, your leaks, those are, times of the essence. So that's the next piece, in my opinion, is the service manager checking the work log and separating out scope to leak work or response work, and then pairing that with the building.
I love this conversation so much because we're looking at it from both of us. I think we're looking at it at the right way, but from different ways. So my response to this is what's the next action? What's going to be due date? And due date is ultimately what's my customer's expectation.
Mhm.
Because when someone calls in, right, the only person who can tell me I'm good is my customer. Anything else is me just talking about myself or talking internally that I'm great. My customer tells me I'm great. Now that's a different story. Now their
Right.
experience was enough to be able to leave them raving about what I did, right? There's stuff I do and then there's value I deliver. So what you're talking about, game on. I don't want to send the wrong tech there because if the wrong tech shows up, doesn't make the repair and a recall comes back, I ain't great. He ain't raving about me, right? Or they're not, they don't like me. But at the same point, I'm looking at expectation because each ticket we have come in, we should have a due date assigned to it. The due date in my term is always what is the customer's expectation for service? So how many times have we had a contract come in from a sales rep and that client, for some odd reason, expects it to start tomorrow? Right? Like that to me is a conflict of expectation where something now that's sales and service, right? To be able to get a logical expectation. But again, it's a leak call, right? Different leak calls. They can both be leaks. One is a water that's coming in on an electrical panel. The other one is a leak in a closet, right? We got different priorities and due dates. So that's how I would first separate what am I going to, what's my most urgent item when I'm starting to schedule.
And fair enough too. And you're going to have a difference of opinion too, and different orders of operations and things. For me, it's like I'm making the assumption that, hey, all my scope work's already scheduled. So when I look back at the backlog of stuff that's not scheduled, it's like, okay. Whereas you may have it kind of future scheduled potentially, or the next guy might do it that way, or whatever it is. But we're all talking the same language because we have procedures in place when we sold the job or we took the call for the new work order. Like we captured what we needed, and then it went to the next person. What you're really good at doing is assigning the next actions to the next people. I wasn't the best in that area. I was more, let's just run it all through, right? We could do certain things right. We can't do everything perfect, but I like, because what you do is you take the handoff from who took the call or sold the job, whatever it is, and then you had a next action and even a date on it. And I like prioritizing the client's expectation with that date. And if you have some software in place, it's easier to pull off. But you could have one person on the phone that's really, really good at that, interacting with the client, telling them all the stuff in the world. But if you hand it to someone who's not going to deliver, then you kind of fall on your face.
100%. Now that's the hardest part, right? Sales makes a promise, and I'm assuming this is sales, right? But sales makes a promise, then operations has to deliver on it. And the hardest part for this is that if you do what the salesman sold, you're average because you just did what you sold, right? Like you have to, in order to be great, you have to over deliver what was sold. And that's one of the hardest things that we have to do on an operational side, right? Salesman makes a promise. If we do just what was sold, we did the contract, we got paid. Right. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of my stuff is always outward facing of, okay, we accepted the call, right? And then we were going to get them an ETA. We're giving them 24 hours notice. We check in, we check out. A lot of that stuff, if you guys are doing that, that's awesome. Those are the first steps because how many times I've had to deal with, hey, the guy never checked out. I'm getting ready to leave for the day. Is he done? My technician
Yeah.
never checked out. Right. And like to me, that is like that is a massive issue within my customer experience that the customer had to call me and ask, right? If I'm going to be the top 1% contractor in the US, they're always in the know, right? So that's what I'm saying. I just love this side of it, right? Because you're on the operational side of producing it. I'm on the front side of, okay, I'm going to do this stuff, which is going to bring me what to my customer.
Yeah, for sure. And even what you're saying too applies at a local level.
Mhm.
It 100% applies to a local level. And we all should want to be the best in our territories and what we do in our offering. And that's what's going to create long-term prosperous businesses at the end of the day. So I don't know how much further we want to go beyond scheduling. Probably don't have time for that because we already hit our max. It looks like, geez, we just started this conversation and we're at the very end of it already. But yeah, any closing thoughts, Chad?
I think that based upon the people you have in the seats is going to change your process. So what you and I spoke about today was based upon the people that we had in the seats,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you don't have a service coordinator, if you're new and you're getting this up and going and you don't have someone very specifically, it's an admin, something like that. To me, the process that you build is what's going to ultimately dictate your success. Right? We don't rise to our goals. We fall to the levels of our processes. We can say we can be a $10 million company, but if our processes don't support that, right? Even if we had 10 million, we're gonna fail to deliver on that, whether it be operational, customer experience, profitability, right? Whatever that might be. So you guys, I would focus on process. Everybody's gonna have different people in the seats. Everyone's gonna have a little bit of a different superpower within those people in the seats. But the process of what you do as soon as you get that phone call to the time that it's invoiced or even to the time it's in the bank, that to me is what's going to dictate where you guys are going to fit within your customer experience and also within the revenue that you're able to logically handle.
Yeah, 110%. I couldn't agree more. I think that the topic was, it was well rounded too. We didn't just go right into processing a service ticket, but I definitely enjoyed the conversation, the different perspectives too. Because at the end of the day, if we can help just one contractor, this show was worth it.
That's right. That's right. Just be better. That's all you got to do. No, I'm kidding. But truly appreciate it. And yeah, man, I love doing this. Like I said, it opens up the whole facet of how are we raising the floor of the industry. And for my side, I'm going to fight for the greatest good of my customer every time. So I appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy. Look forward to the next one.